which is easy to understand and works up by gradual degrees to the sort of complexity that we see around us. The logic of creationist arguments is always the same. Some natural phenomenon is too improbable, too statistically improbable, too complex, too beautiful, too awe-inspiring to have come into existence by chance. That we can all accept. Design is the only alternative to chance that the author can imagine, because the author is probably ignorant of Darwinism. Design is the only alternative that this person can imagine, therefore design must have done it. Science's answer to this faulty logic is also always the same. Design is not the only alternative to chance. Natural selection is a better alternative. Notice what rotten logic the creationist argument is. We have theory A and theory B. Theory A is supported by loads of evidence. Theory B is supported by no evidence at all. Now here's the key step. I can't understand how theory A explains phenomenon X. Therefore, theory B must be right. That's all there is to it. I bet you don't know how the elbow joint of the lesser spotted weasel frog evolved. Well, probably I don't. I haven't studied weasel frogs. I don't know what a weasel frog is. I can't explain how its elbow joint evolved. But I believe that if somebody were to spend 3 years doing a PhD thesis on the elbow joint of the lesser spotted weasel frog, they probably would find out how it evolved. The creationist argument would go, oh, you don't understand how the elbow joint of the weasel frog evolved? Right, God did it. It's a failure of the imagination. Gaps, by default, are filled by God. I've called it the argument from personal incredulity. A good metaphor for the natural selection explanation for improbability is a combination lock. A combination lock is designed to be unbreakable because the sheer number of combinations that you've got to try if you're doing it at random is too large to do in a million lifetimes. A bank robber could theoretically get lucky and hit on the right combination of numbers by chance, but in practice, good combination locks are designed, and bank vaults are designed with enough improbability to push this into Fred Hoyle's Boeing 747 territory. But now imagine a badly designed combination lock that gave out little hints progressively, the equivalent of the childhood game of Hunt the Slipper, where you say, getting warmer, getting cooler, getting warmer, cooler, warmer, warmer, and so on. Imagine a combination lock where every time the number that you turned on the dial got a little bit closer to the correct number, the door of the bank vault opened another chink, and a little bit of money dribbled out. And then you twiddle a bit more, and then you get a little bit nearer to the number, and then the door opens another chink, and a little bit more money dribbles out. Well, obviously the robber would hit the jackpot in no time at all. And that's what natural selection does. Natural selection is working on a faulty combination lock rather than a good combination lock. So just to conclude on that, if you postulate God as the designer, God would himself have to be the ultimate Boeing 747. That's why, even before Darwin came along, it was possible by logic alone to say the God explanation for creation is just a lousy argument, a lousy explanation. Oh, I don't know what that's doing there. Yeah. Stork theory to be taught alongside pregnancy theory. And yeah, I suppose the point there is that in any case, even if you do decide that you're going to teach children, this is about the pressure for equal time for teaching creationism. one satirized this, I think this must have been The Onion or something, satirized this by saying, let's have equal time for the stork theory alongside conventional reproduction. Now, I'm switching to the second half of my talk now. I hope it isn't pure wishful thinking to suggest that there is a new wave of reason sweeping across America, Britain, Europe, Australia, South America, etc. Even perhaps places like the Middle East and Africa, where superstition and religious dogma have had such a firm hold. One indication of this, I like to think, is a wave of books which are selling extremely well. I don't have the figures for the other books up there, but The God Delusion, I can tell you, has sold more than 1.5 million copies in English alone, and is now being published in, I think it's 32 foreign languages, and all those other books there are selling well too. They have spawned a backlash of books I think I counted 22 at the last count. The quotation some of you will recognize is from W.B. Yeats. But was there ever dog that praised his fleas? And just as a little afterthought, now, I am not trying to teach facts here. I'm certainly not trying to indoctrinate. What I'm trying to do is to raise consciousness. The phrase consciousness raising I met for the first time, at least, in the hands of feminists. It's very powerful. There's no law against using a phrase like the rights of man or one man, one vote. Yet, because we've had our consciousness raised by feminists, most of us feel kind of uneasy when we hear people talk like that. Even those who still use man instead of human do so with their consciousness raised. Perhaps they're taking a stand for traditional language. Maybe they're even deliberately trying to rile feminists. But whatever you're doing, whether you're trying to rile feminists or whether you're going along with it, you've had your consciousness raised. When you hear a phrase like the rights of man or one man, one vote, you get a little twinge. You know that somebody's going to object to it. That's consciousness raising. And I want to try to raise consciousness about some unconscious assumptions that we all make about religion. Here's a favorite example of mine that I've used before. At Christmas time, a few years ago, The Independent was looking for a seasonal picture, and they found a heartwarmingly ecumenical one in a school nativity play. The three wise men were played by Shadbreet, a Sikh, Musharraf, a Muslim, and Adele, a Christian, all aged 4. Now, my guess is that you will think, as I did when I first saw it, the picture is rather sweet. How nice that 4-year-olds who belong to different religions should come together in a nativity play. Now try this experiment. Suppose the caption had been slightly different.